Hello and welcome to Really Cool People, a podcast produced by Schweitzer Church. I'm your host, Jason Leidinger, and this, my friends, is the first episode of our 5th season. This is a place where we like to hear stories of really cool people. The hope is that as you and I listen, we will be inspired, encouraged, and challenged through moments of serendipity. In a sermon entitled The Weight of Glory, C.S. Lewis said, "There are no ordinary people. You and I have never talked to a mere mortal." It's my joy over the next few moments to introduce you to some people who may seem somewhat ordinary, especially to themselves, and yet they are a really cool person. Today, we're going to meet 3 different people, and this conversation takes place in Uganda on a recent trip that Shelley Rogers, the missions coordinator at Schweitzer Church, Alec Knopf, our video producer, and myself took to the country of Uganda in January of 2025. While we were in Uganda, we were hosted by Brent Smith, and we're going to hear Brent's voice as he gives some background to some of the conversations that take place, primarily with 2 Ugandans by the name of John Okot and his wife, Semprosa. Now, John and Semprosa grew up near the city of Gulu, which is in northern Uganda. And back in the 1980s or 90s, they found themselves in the midst of a civil war, and they both migrated into neighboring Kenya, where they met at a work that was taking place in Kenya. They then both felt the call to move back to Gulu and to take up some work through Watoto Church. John and Semprosa are going to talk about that journey, that experience, and also how the Lord connected with them and brought some healing into their own lives. They're an incredible couple. So it's my joy over the next few moments to introduce you to John and Semprosa.
So, John and Semprosa, we've been in a relationship for, I don't even know how many years now, but a long time.
It's a long time.
Do you know how many years?
Since 2006, 2007.
2007?
Yeah. 2006 is when we met. 2007 is when we came to Watoto here.
Okay.
Yes.
So you want to tell them a little bit of the story when kind of set the stage. I was on a search, doing some research, and I was looking for some things in which that we could start a ministry up with, which was at the time called Living Hope.
Yes.
Living Hope Ministries was a birthed out of Watoto Child Care. And I happened to be traveling around in different parts of the countries. So Rwanda, Tanzania, various places. Went to Kenya. When I came to Kenya, came to Nairobi, and I was doing some research and things. And one day, I went to this shop. And the name of that shop was what?
Was Amani Aju.
Amani Aju.
Yeah.
Amani Yaju.
Yeah. And so, how would you spell Amani?
AMAN, then
Aye.
dash, then YA, then dash JUU.
Okay. So Amani Aju.
Yes.
Amani
And
Aju.
so Amani Aju means what?
Means
Yeah,
peace
Amani
from
Aju.
above.
Yeah. Peace from above. So from that visit, I met you guys, probably not by accident, but by design. I have no clue. We never know where the Lord's going to send us or where He's going to put us, and then put us in touch with people. But from that point in time, I'd like for you to explain to them then what took place, what happened from that very visit, from that very day when I came there.
Yeah, it was a Saturday morning at around 9 a.m. as I was opening up the shop, because I was the sales supervisor for the Amani Aju craft shop. Then as I was opening the door, that's when I saw the visitor. He came in. Then I welcomed him in the shop. So when I welcomed him in the shop, he asked me that this is my first time to come to Amani Aju. So if I can tell him the story about Amani Aju. So I started telling him the story of Amani Aju, how Amani Aju started, and the kind of women they were working with. I said they were coming from different countries, so they take refuge here. So this is where they do the stitching, and then they train us leadership and everything. So he asked me that, where are you coming from? I said, I'm coming from Uganda. That which side of Uganda? I said, Gulu. Said, okay, so you are from Gulu. I said, I'm from Gulu. That we are opening up a church in Gulu, which is Watoto. So we want somebody who knows how to do these things, to take it back home to the women. So I said, oh, yeah. Then said, okay, yeah, I think you will be the right person. Then he started asking me questions about my children, how long I've stayed in Kenya, and how long have I been working there, and my husband, and all about me. So I answered all those questions as I was taking him around, touring around Amani, Kenya. So from there now, he said, what do you make? I showed him what I was making in the shop. It was a wall hanging, of which he bought one, which I made. And then he started asking me for coming back to Gulu and all that. So he asked me also to meet my husband, which is John. And that day he wasn't around. So it was on Monday that he was supposed to meet him. So he said, okay, I'll come back on Monday and then meet with him. And then we talk and see how you guys can come up and start the project in Gulu. Yeah. So on Monday, he met with John. I called John and then we met, and then he started talking to John to come up as the maintenance for Watoto village, and then all those about the starting off of. At first, John hesitated. He didn't want to. He said, no, we have stayed here for a very long time in Kenya. Then how can we go back home? How are we going to start, and all those things? And then at last now, after all the talking and the interviews, now we said yes. I think this is what God is calling us for. Yeah.
So, to try to give them a little bit of a setting, Amani was a place, a compound area on the corner of a street, correct?
Yes.
And when you came into the corner of that street, they had a gate there. You would go in and they had a fairly nice shop. And then if you went to the right, there was a double-story building. And back to the left, there was an area where that they would cook, boil water, and they had these big, huge pots. So in that area, a lot of times the materials are not, they're plains. And so they would dye the material. They had a method and a way in which that they would do that. Mm-hmm. To bring forth different designs. And a lot of times we've seen tie-dye, where they tie-dye T-shirts and those kind of things, and they had learned how to do that, and they were tie-dyeing things, and so they had, these big vats and big pots full of solution in which they would go through the different colors, and they knew how to handle the prints and so on to get the designs out of it. And so in the building, the whole bottom half was set up as like a shipping warehouse and shipping area. The top half of that building there were all sewing machines and lots of ladies. And so Semprosa's position in there is that she was to teach and train and release them to build product. Then she came through a post time in there where that she graduated. And she got to go from there out to the sales area. And she began, selling. There was racks. They would put them out front, out in the open air and inside the building. And they had really nice stuff. And so, she learned how to do the retail side from the ground up. Build, take raw material, do the patterns, cut the stuff, stitch the stuff, all kinds of different, and train all these women, which were women that were, those women they were abandoned women, or street women. Where'd they come from?
They were refugee women.
Refugees.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a lot of stuff going on back in that time frame. Now, the kind of shift a little bit was that when I went to them and I approached them to come back to Gulu, and in that time frame, they were very reluctant. And the reason they were reluctant was because of the calamities in which they came from and what drove them from here. And yet, how many years were you there in Nairobi?
Was almost over 10 years.
Over 10 years. So
Because,
in a 10-year time frame, they would have experienced a whole lot different life. So to set up house there and raising their family and then to come back to what they left, they were a little bit reluctant at first because they only heard that things were beginning to settle. They didn't really know until you come back and really touch it that you'd know for sure and probably have peace in your heart about, do I want to go back home? But it's always in the heart and the desire of the people to go home. That's just the way it is. So as time went on, we began talking and we would converse and I would talk to them from time to time and I would share with them, this is what we are going to do. And what's happening is there's a lot of these, at the time children, but young now had become young women, and they had been through a lot of calamities with the LRA, and those women were running and getting away from that situation, escaping. Most of the time when they'd escape, they'd catch them and kill them, and to send a message to the rest of them, you better not leave. But they would still, take the chance and take the risk, and they would run. And not even knowing, it's hard to fathom that when you have been taken from a place and the place looks like this at that time, and then you're gone for 5-6 years, and you get away from that and you run back. Where are you running to? Because they had lost, the positioning of where they were at. And so at that time, there was a lot of things that started popping up around the whole perimeter around Gulu and out into the west area it was called IPDs, Independent Displaced Camps. They were IDPs.
Yes.
And so those camps was being set up, and it was nothing but huts everywhere. As far as you could see, hundreds of them. They would have multiple pit latrines that had been dug. They were canvas tents, like a tarp, podium around them. Sometimes something over the top, most of the time not. And so those people, they were running back to there as a safe haven. And during that time frame, we were working into those IDP camps and to try to help, get those people back to some kind of civilization, because what they remembered when they left here was not good. Everything had been taken away. And they had gone through a lot. They'd been beat, they'd been this, that, cut, you name it, it was happening. So in that process of that time frame, we were setting up shop. We were opening Living Hope. We were going to begin to build the church. The church is not where it's at today. It was in another location. And all of that came about in a whole other scenario. But at the time, John was doing maintenance at Amani. And when he would do maintenance, he had to do maintenance on sewing machines, everything in the world that had to be done in that place.
Buildings, yeah.
Everything maintenance. So when it came time to try to pull this together, it was a great fit because she had been accustomed to dealing with refugees. And that is a huge calamity all the time. They come with a lot of baggage and a lot of things wrong, So you have to deal with that. Calamities, you have to deal with, you're trying to get them to where you can teach them, train them, and release them to become productive citizens and begin to get a life back. And so that's what was happening. So at that time then, I had went back, we had talked. Actually, I think I traveled back.
Yes.
And then later I came back, but yet we were talking on the phone.
Yes.
And things, and then did you come visit, or did you just pack and you came? I don't remember how it all worked.
Yeah, when coming, we packed and then came.
So they decided that they would come.
Yeah. And one is when what made me even to be hesitant, as he said, we had already come out from a messy situation. And when I went there, I even completed university from there. And when I finished, I joined Amani with some American who saw the skill I had. So I started maintaining the machines and all the buildings. So I even supervised that story building. Then when he came, she mentioned to me, and they called me for interview on a Saturday. Then I came and I talked. Then when I could not decide just to pack, so I just mentioned to the administrator, who was also an American lady. Then he said, "No, John, how come? You've already worked for us for over 10 years. Where are you going and how much are they going to pay you?" I said, not really for money, but I think I'm going home because my age is not really nice now to stay outside. It's good for children, but since now I've got an opportunity to go back doing something with, I would rather go. So they just wanted to, whereby even at a certain point, that lady administrator, the assistant, was saying, if I knew where you are going, if they knew about Kampala Pentecostal Church by then, before it was called Watoto, I would have stopped this thing. But it was too late because they had already asked me to get somebody, trained that person within the 2 weeks before they can release me. Then I had already made my mind. After first of all hesitating, then that's how we came.
Did you say you went to university?
Yes.
And what did you study?
There's a university I did business administration. Later I went for engineering. Okay. Yes.
And did you do that in Kenya?
After the university, I joined Amani Aju by those Becky and her husband who were also refugees from Liberia because they were missionaries in Liberia. Then they went back to Nairobi. Then they were lecturing in Daystar University.
Do you want to, or could you describe what led you to leave in the first place?
Oh, here?
You've alluded to it, and you may not want to talk about it, and that's okay. But could you just describe, because many people in our context will not know what the LRA were.
Okay. I will just paraphrase. One is that I personally myself I did want to go outside my country, but the situation came when Museveni came into power. He was accepted at first phase because the previous group were very rough. They were not good people. Then Museveni came with this method of administration, but later he turned again. He was now fighting his opponents. And in that crossfire, I could not get myself. I found at one point I was just squeezing my hand. Kando more or less. The marks are still there, but I persisted. Then eventually I found myself out of Kenya. Fortunately, because my father had worked in Kenya and he was still working in Kenya as prison staff. So when I went there, we registered as refugees. Then when we came out of the camp, and I joined to continue with my studies, and I went to university, Daystar University, where those of Becky and her husband found me there. And that's how I came to Amani. And Amani was founded by only 3 ladies. It was Becky who founded them. Then when I came in, there were about 5 or 6. Then I was among the people who worked to make Amani grow, because I was maintaining the machines, ladies are stitching, and eventually donors came in, they donated for the building, that story building. I came to supervise, finish, and at one point Becky said, John, we are about to reach there. Then I told her, we are going to reach there. And at that climax is when we reach. So I remember when now we are growing, when Brent met me, he met her first. And when they told me to come and do what I was doing there, then I reflected back and said, am I going to be a starter every time? That time we started Amani and it has grown. It was now reaching its climax. Now I left there, I come and start Gulu. But I'm proud and happy to see Watoto the way it has reached, especially in Gulu, where when I came, we went to Leminadera, people were in camps. I was not even familiar with my language. I almost lost my language. Then when we were there, I remember we could meet animals, no homes, to start Leminadera. It was amazing, difficult but amazing. Yes, so we say, okay, we are going to work for Amani. And we came, she started with Living Hope. Then they asked her to get the program for Gulu, Living Hope. Then we borrowed. I remember one night, we stayed almost half a night trying to put those things the way we used to do in Nairobi here. Prayers. And I said, okay, for you to start doing well, start with first select 10 leaders, 10 train them as leaders, then 10 will work with the big number you have, because you cannot work with all the maybe 50 at a go. So if you get 10, then at least 10 divided by 50, 555.
So John,
Yeah.
I think try to go to come back to that question.
Yes.
There was a reason why he was left here.
Yes.
And so, Semprosa, why did you leave? What was happening?
Yeah, at that time I was still at school. Yeah, I was doing I was doing teacher training in Gulu here. So we were just in Gulu when we were living in Limu, and our home is in Pabo. So when Museveni took over, I was in P7. Yeah, when he took over, I was in P7 in '86. So we took off from Gulu because they said Museveni will come and kill all their cholis. So that's when me and my parents, we ran to Pabo. So when we went to Pabo, we stayed in Pabo for some time. So now the Kony thing started. So when Kony attacked us in Pabo, because we were just sleeping in a house like this, then they came and just surrounded the place, and then they started shooting. So they were shooting even through the houses and all those things. So the shooting started at night and until afternoon at 1. Yeah, at 1, that's when it stopped, when they chased the Kony people. Now, when they chased the Kony people, when we came out, we found very many people have died. So they killed very many people. They killed very many soldiers. Now, from there now, my mother now collected us, and then we entered. At that time, it was convoy. The convoy is the soldiers will walk in front, and then the soldiers in the lorries follows, and then now the civilians will follow. So we were just in those lorries coming to Gulu. So now when we came to Gulu, we settled in, we came to our home, which is in Limo, with my mom and then my dad. Then from there, the Konya started attacking Gulu. We could go every evening and sleep in the churches or in the hospitals with the children, or we sleep in the grasses. There was a forest there, so we go there and sleep in between the potato heaps. Then in the morning we come home. So anytime any attack can happen, the NRA could come and then start shooting anyone. Even at school, they could shoot us at school and all those things. So we struggled with my mom like that, and then it ended up my mom died. Yeah, when my mom died, now I was there with the kids. We were 9 in total, and I was the second born. So we could stay, we could keep going to the bush, coming back like that. The NRA was just too much. And then from then, that's when from then I was even paying like my school fees for going to the teachers training college. So I did my training college. I paid all my school fees by myself, working, and then I work and then bring the money, buy food for my siblings, take care of them like that. I go work like that because there was no one who was taking care of us. My dad was already with another wife back in Pabo, so we were here alone. So from there, as I finished my school in 98, that's when now the cousin of John, the cousin of John talked to my friend, and then my friend now talked to me. Now they brought the photo of John to me and said, this is the man we wanted you like that, just to negotiate between us. So they told me he was in Nairobi. So he wanted a wife, of which we suggested you are the right one for him and all those things. So I looked back to my siblings. Now I say, now since I'm the elder one, now these are very young children. I will leave them just like that. Then my heart told me, I told myself, however much I continue even staying with my siblings, if God wants me to go somewhere else, I will still go and leave them. So from there, that's when I just decided, I thought if I'm to go to Nairobi, I can take all my siblings with, I'll get them all with me in Nairobi, and they get refuge. Yeah, so that's when I accepted. I said, it's okay. It's better than Gulu here, where I'm seeing there's no peace at all. We are just struggling. So that's when I went to Nairobi. I didn't know Nairobi where it was. So I just took the bus, reached Kampala, asked where I can get bus for Nairobi. I took the bus. I didn't know where I'm going. I didn't know whom I'm going to meet. That's when now I reached the bus park in Nairobi. And then I was there. I don't know who was coming for me. And then the cousin came. The cousin just passed me. I passed him. I don't know. That's when now he went to the office. He said, there is a lady who has come from Uganda, and her name is this. Can I get her? Said, oh, there was a lady who was walking around here. I think she's the one. Then they pointed at me, and then he came over to me and asked me that, what is your name? I said, my name is Achayo. Yeah, it's the one I think I'm looking for. Then as I'm from Gulu, from this side, they said, yeah, you are the one I'm looking for. So he took me home with him. So at that time, I didn't know John. He looked how, I don't know. So now that's when I was at the cousins for 1 week, then John came in. Then when he came in, that's when I saw, they called me. Then I greeted him. I thought it was a visitor and all those things. Then said, oh, this is John. This is the one that you came to. Then I was okay. And then from there, that's now when I knew him. And then we went and settled in with him. Yeah. So when we stayed with him, when I went to his place, I just saw, oh my God. I said, now, how can I bring my children, my siblings over here? Because I found him, he was also struggling. Yeah, he was struggling, but anyway, there was peace in that place. So
I just
could,
left university.
yeah, he had just left university, so he was working with a Mania Jew. And a Mania Jew, of course, you're a refugee. They don't pay you the way the Kenyans are being paid. So they just pay you as a refugee. You know, they give you that kind money.
Casual, whatever.
Yeah.
So we're going to roll a little bit different now. I want to hear from you, share with them. Even though in the time frame when we came back, it was not smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty rough.
Yes.
And at the time we set up in a shop down here that is called a night, what do they call it? It's a night, it's a place where there was safe, where they would, night commuters.
Yes.
In the night commuter shop. So the night commuters, people would leave and take a chance, and they would go out and they would do work on their, dig and whatever. And then they would return. And when they would return, they would all go to a night commuter place, sleep, clean up, do what they needed to do, and then prepare to go back the next day. And even in that time frame, there was a lot of situations and circumstances in which that the LRA would still grab some of those people. They would figure out a pattern and watch what they were doing and what was going to happen. Next thing you know, they've disappeared. So there was a lot of things that took place. So little did they know that when they were coming to set up shop to build out Living Hope, and it was a ministry birthed out of Watoto 2, or KPC at the time, was to answer that call and to try to reestablish those people that had been stolen, has lost their lives and were displaced. So they didn't really realize back in that time frame what was really going on is that there was a lot of transitioning happening, and they were actually counseling. They were, speaking into the lives of these people because they had been through a lot with refugees because they were refugees. So when the time came and when they came back from Amani, then I had kind of convinced them to come and help us start.
As you think about working with refugees, what are some critical pieces for a refugee to come back and resettle and heal? What's important in that process?
The process right now, as from that time and even now, was to train, to teach them that, one, to help them on trauma rehabilitation, to come out from the trauma, to forget the past. You cannot forget completely, but at least to see forward and know that God has already saved you from that danger. Many have died. So you focus ahead. And that was trauma rehabilitation program. Then first, know Jesus Christ, trauma rehabilitation with prayers. They started to come out, and with the work, the job they were doing was also consoling them, making.
So in the process of building things, building something, material.
Yes.
Around sewing and all those kind of things was part of what we would consider as probably being that transformation. To bring them out from the trauma side into reality of life. Yes. Because they really didn't have a place to go. And so they were coming to the shop, and they weren't only, they were beginning to build relationships with you guys and relationship with each other. And it was not always a happy, friendly deal. Yeah. There was always something going on, and there were problems, and then one may face a problem from another lady in which that, for whatever reason, and most of the time it was something that happened in the bush or something that had taken place, but yet it came into the center. So they weren't only just doing teaching, training around sewing things, building a craft, building clothes, because they didn't have any clothes. Those people didn't have, they were building clothes, and yet they were building clothes for themselves. And then they got really good at it, and they started building for the public. They started open that up so that funding would come back to the project so that they could be paid. And then the women would get paid. So it was quite a process in what really took place. We use the word a lot of times transformation. And I know that, in my own life and in things that have happened over the years is that, God can, we as individuals can put a little bit of education in the head, but we cannot put the love of Jesus in the heart. Only God can do that. That's something that has to happen within. And so that piece was such a, I want to say a spiritual renewing, but a lot of times they didn't even understand the spiritual renewing. But they began to pick up and get a life. They had a life. And then things began to change in Gulu. And as it began to get more safe, and, they would listen to radios all the time. There was no TV. And they knew what was going on because it was being broadcast out through Christian radio. And they were trying to keep up with, well, Coney is this area, Coney is this area, this is happening here. So they would stay away from those areas. So probably in a process of about, I'd say 10 years had passed. And a lot of them would go back now and they would figure out where they actually came from.
Yes.
Because when you came back to this area, you had no clue where you were from.
Yes.
It's kind of like a loss of time. Everything was changed. They were find themselves displaced. So you can imagine coming from something established in Nairobi, working, a schedule every day, all the above. It's always the fear of the unknown. You were coming back home, but you really didn't know what you were coming back to.
Yeah.
And so for them to take on that and to, buy into this understanding, I mean, everybody in, these countries around, they all knew KPC.
Yes.
I mean, it was well known. And Pastor Gary and Marilyn as missionaries from Canada, and, everybody would talk about, look what these Canadians have done. They've come into the heart of the city of Kampala during the war, and they've established a church to not only change, the people, and create an English-speaking church, but yet change a nation. I mean, it was unbelievable that would happen.
Yes.
But you guys were a huge part of that. You and others. There's many others that's helped and been a part of that piece.
Yes.
But I know that you were probably a little bit reluctant whenever I came.
Yes.
I was following her around that shop, we were talking, and she'd keep working. But I'd follow her around, find out, what's going on, where you're coming from, all the above. But then, boy, it's like I had searched all around trying to find the right fit of somebody who could set up shop, look after this, do this. But it was like, wow, this is the one, I think. So
Actually,
I had bought a piece that she
hanging.
had made, the wall hanging.
Yeah,
And it's signed Semprosa. And it's a lady with a baby on her back and something on her head. I still have it in my office today. And I often look at that thing and it reminds me, to pray for them because I've seen what they went through. One piece that I don't know, when you talk about going as a refugee, when you went to Kenya,
sorry.
I've seen a lot of situations where that back in those days, there would be military would be in the front half and there would be people and military in the back half. Because in those days, we were told, do not travel that road.
Yes.
And if you recall, I used to fly in and I would come in and be in here by about 10 o'clock in the morning. And by somewhere 2 or 3 o'clock, I had to leave. We couldn't stay. It was very touchy. And so we would begin to hear all that calamity. Boom, 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 boom. And going on. And back in those days, they'd call it popcorn.
Yeah.
Popcorns began.
Yes.
This is happening. Get out.
Yes.
And even there was times in which we would fly out and you'd see all that going on below. And it'd break my heart because it's like we're leaving you in a trap.
Mm.
We had no idea what was going to become of the next day. And then week after week after week, we'd go through all this stuff. And as they began to come back, we built the village. So we go and start the village. John was doing the maintenance of the village, but we were building. I had crews in there. It was very sticky. And at that time, we built the village. And in every village, we built the church. Because Pastor Gary and all of us, we believe that everything starts from the church. It comes out of the church, especially anything of any good. So anyway, there was a lot that took place.
Yes.
And I've told you many times, I'm very thankful and blessed in which that we've met and we've had half a lifetime, I hope, together. We've seen a lot. Is there anything else you can?
Yeah, some prosa. What was it like for a mom to bring her kids back here? Like, because you went away without kids. I mean, you had your siblings, but then you brought the kids that you both came from.
Yeah.
What was it like to bring kids back?
Yeah. It was kind of difficult because these kids, I gave birth to them when in Nairobi. So they had not experienced all that I've gone through and they don't know what the gunshots, all those things were. So I was kind of worried somehow. I said, now in case such things happen, how will I be able to handle these kids? So it was difficult, and also with the weather, this side also, it also kind of gave me to be worried because I didn't know how they will adapt to the weather this side too.
Is the weather different from here to Nairobi?
Yeah, Nairobi is colder and
Nairobi
here it's
has a
very
winter
hot.
feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you helped build the village,
Yes.
and you helped refugees resettle, and you helped build a sewing shop and other things.
Yes.
How did you build your lives? What were some of do you have sweet memories of building your life together?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are great smiles, by the way. That's a great laugh.
Okay. If I may go back a bit, during that time when she came and we lived, then Becky said, it's not good to stay together like that. So we had to ask for consent and we prayed. Then we were united in church, where we exchanged vows in church. That is when Becky was now happy. They contributed to and prayed for us. Okay, so that is the bit left. That's why we are strong now. And when we came, I still appreciate very much what Brent and Rose did. We were hesitant, but we had some hiccups at the beginning. But right when I finished orientation from Kampala, I came down here. It was a bit tricky because the people from the camp had already a different mentality, and even a mentality of just receiving.
Receiving.
whereby they expect to be given just, but not working. When I ask them, okay, let's build this, then they'll say, okay, up to 1, we are now finished. I said, no, if you reach 1, you've not finished. For us, Watoto, we pay full day. So if you have reached half day, I'm not paying. I'm paying until it is finished. So that's how I fought with people in Laminadera. And they were telling me, this is a British man. I said, I said, no, that is what it is. In this way, I'm trying to say, even within the neighborhood, and even the general culture, when people started coming from the camp and whatever, they were expecting every time giving. And that's where the hand stitching became an instrument. Like for us, you are given something, you do, and you're paid for it. That is how you build you to come out from receiving. After a certain point, some missionaries, many churches also started preaching. So there was so many religious groups coming in, trying to. So in the process, people started seeing there is light coming. So that blink future, which they thought because of the guns and whatever, there was a bit of peace, and the preaching came in. They came to realize things are changing, and also now coming in with NGOs going fading away. It leaves them with no option but to work to get something, and that also changed their mentality. Yes.
You said that your children have all finished their educations, or they've graduated, or mostly they're still working. I mean, you have one that's still working.
Yeah. One has graduated a diploma in architect, which he's going for us engineering, civil engineering degree, for the degree. So he has not yet registered, but he's going back. And then one has graduated in UCU, the procurement and logistics. And then this young one, this girl here is the youngest, the one I came with, is a girl. She is in the fashion and designing vocational school. Yeah, she has just started. Yeah.
What are your hopes for your kids? What is their future going to look like?
Okay, the picture is that with her, after when we came in, worked for Amani, opened a neighborhood in Gulu, it reached a certain point where Amani could not accommodate. There were so many ladies in those days, and it came to her mind that she needed some places for them. So she started Amani Yaju, Uganda. Here we have in Peche, but we started from Chereleno with one machine. Then later I went to Becky. We went to Becky and explained. Then Becky gave us some money to buy 4 machines and a cutting table. Then we started with this one lady, then later 3 ladies. Now they're about 26, about there. And when we moved to Peche, with those ladies who were now could not be accommodated that time, and eventually she also found that the workload may not be easy. She resigned from neighborhood and settled for Amani Yaju, Uganda. That's where we usually. So now we started making the products based with the design from Nairobi, and that's where. So with the time, we involved the children in trying to help us, like in accounting and bookkeeping and the rest, until when they went back to school. We have 2 staff, accountant and production, who she works with. We hope to build that one. We are praying for it so that at least that one could continue to expand to accommodate more ladies. And we see where we can fix the children. If we can fix them there, that's God's plan. But if they can get another place, it's also God's plan. So our future is still lying there.
So you would hope for them to come into the business and help take it eventually
Yes.
Continue
Yes.
with
and continue with it.
Yes, we hope that.
Yeah, my real whatever for opening up Amani Aju, when I was working in Living Hope with the women, because I trained first the 50, again they brought more 50 again. So they were like 100, they keep like topping up with 50s. So I trained these women and the women had known how to sew. So we could make the orders for the Living Hope. We send them to Kampala like that. And I've trained 10 leaders, of which they were working alongside with me, training the women and also doing the quality control and everything. So as I was working with the women, going every day to the women, even many were coming in. So as I went to the ministry department, I got this lady. She's a mother with a kid. And then she was talking to this the ministry coordinator, asking for a place that if they can take her and can work, so that she can work in Living Hope. They told her there's no vacancy yet, but they can give her the relief food. So they gave her a pack of the relief food. And this is a mother who has a child who is also malnourished. She carried that pack of food, so she was going with. Then it dawned into my heart. I said, now, this woman is going with this pack and she's going with it at home. Then after finishing this pack of food, what will she again? Where will she again get the food? Will she still come back and get the food? So it dawned into my heart and I went and shared it with John. And then many came in because there's no place they could get the relief food and go with it. So I said, no, John, because now I've trained these women and they know how to sew and I'm supervising. If I really go out there and open up a place where I can get these women who really don't have anywhere to go and then start training them how to do work, and they can have a place to go and work and then work and then hear the word of God. The same thing I opened up here in KPC. Can't I just carry it again, take it out there and reach out to these women who really don't have anywhere to go? Like this one here who came in and went back with a pack of food. And the other one too. Now the next day, are they going to come back again and get the pack of food? Just keep coming and taking like that? I think I need to start up Amani Aju. That is when then he told me, that one need prayers. Because right now, starting an organization is not an easy thing. You need money and you need also somebody to support you. Then I told him that the little money I have in my account, I can start with it. I already have the top of the machine, but I didn't have the table. So I said, I can look for the table of the machine. With that one machine, I can bring up many women. That is when I asked one of my fellow staff. And then she said, yeah, my brother do have a table of the machine and it's not being used. It's just in the garage. I can just give you. And then I asked John that, does any friend of yours have a room or a house which he or she is not using? Then he said, yeah, I have a friend. He supplies us here, but he has a small office whereby if I ask him, I think he will not refuse. Then he went and asked the friend. The friend even didn't hesitate. Say, yeah, the room is there, but so long as you take care of my things there in the office. So I continued praying about it. I said, let God make this work. So that's when I started. I went there. I took that one machine. I went there and put that one machine with one girl first, to try. So I could buy some fabrics, little fabrics. I go, like, after work, it was at 5:30. I go there, start training that lady. So when I started training that girl, she could make it. I come back every day 5:30 and I go back very late. I said, no, this is not enough. If the time is too little for me. If I really want to open this organization, I have to come up full time. Yeah, that is when I went and asked for the resignation. Yeah, when I went and asked for the resignation, they first told me, no, you cannot just resign like this. You have to give time. Yeah, you have to give time, because even there's no one yet we have got for the training, for training the women. I said, these women have already trained. They have already the leaders, they can train them. Then they kept on whatever, you are putting an exit. Now, when in case you bounce from there, where you will not be able to come back. Now you have even kids at school and you are going to start this. And then how are you going to take care of your children? How are you going to do? They started bringing for me things of which to discourage me. But I said, no, I think this is what God is calling me to do. He will take care of the children. Yeah, there will always be challenges. It will not be a smooth path. Then I had to take that courage. And then I just said, no, I'm going. Next month, I'm going out. That is when I just moved out the end of the month. I went there and sat, and then I brought the same ladies, I found them in the office. I called for them. I told Mego, that time it was Mego who was in the ministry. I told her to call up for me these women. I want to meet them. So I called up those women and they came, and then I started with them. We started with the wall hanging and the placemats and all that. Now, when I started with these women, with my own money in the account, I started with these women. Then I reached somewhere. I said, no, before I clear this money in my account, let me go back to Nairobi and meet with the director in Amani. That is when I took the little money I have. I went back to Nairobi. I went and met Becky, the director, and then I told her, Becky, I've come back. I need your help. I've started up the Amani Yaju Uganda. I'm taking care of these women and all those things. Then Becky asked me all the questions, what I'm really doing. I said, these are the former abducted women who are back from captivity, but they didn't have anywhere to go. So I wanted to help these women. Yeah, because I already have the skill in my hand. I can train them. I can do all that Amani is doing. I can transfer and do it. Then Becky said, it's okay. I'm fine with you. I'll stand with you. Then she gave me some seed money, some few money to add 2 machines, and then a sideboard and a table, a cutting table, and then some seed money for the fabrics. I came back from there. I came back to Gulu, and then I bought all the 2 machines plus mine. It was 3. So I stitch in one, I train with the 2. Others I will train them how to cut. Others, I will train them how to do quality control. So I divided them. So these ladies now, the 3, when they go out, they will meet other women, other fellow colleagues of theirs who don't have anywhere to go to. Say, oh, these are whatever. That, where are you from? That, I'm here. They have opened up somewhere like this in Providence. Then said, okay, can I also come? Then they bring them. I wouldn't chase them away. I said, you come in. Come, and it's God who will open us the way. You come, we shall continue, shall work together. And that is how the women started coming in. And I started training them products. And those products I trained, I didn't have the market at that time. So the product I trained, I moved with it in town. I could move it in every cafe, every visitor I get on the road, I will talk to. Others will say, yeah, it's okay. Give me your contact. I'll call you. Oh, this product is good for my parents like this. My mother loves purple, all those things. Others say, oh, next time, right now. So I kept on like that. So the little money I get from the sales is the one I go and divide to these women. I divide out to them. If it's 5,000, then 5,000, 5,000. And then the rest we go and buy materials. So I kept on like that. I kept on like that. I could train and then go out. I trained afternoon, I'm out for sales. And then there was a day as I said, no, I need to station somewhere so that I can sell these products. That's where I went down there near actually in the corner. I displayed my things. So I came in the afternoon, I displayed. Then rain hit me 3 times from there. Then I said, no, God, this is just too much, because with all the products and all those things, I said, no, God, I really cried under the tree. I said, no, God, not this way. I need somewhere permanent where I can put these products and sell. Then from there, there's a young man who came and told me, Mama, you first go down there in Sankofa. At that time, it was Sankofa, and visitors come there. Why can't you go and ask there in front of the shop so that you put your things? It's better than here. That's when I went there. I asked this mama in the shop. The mama said, oh, Semprosa. Oh, say, it's okay. You come and give me company. I don't have company here. I'm bored. So now I said, no, can you help me with this tree here? Said, yeah, the tree is just there. There's nothing I can do with that tree. Said, okay, fine. Then I could come with my products, and
There's
then I
a picture
started
of that tree.
displaying. I started displaying them on that tree. I climbed, put all the bags on the tree, then sit under it. Then the visitors could come and enter. They come through me and enter into the cafe. So that's when now the visitors could come, ask me questions, buy products, what is Amani and all that. I tell them the story of Amani Aju, how it started and all those things. So when rain comes, I put the things in her shop, and then I go home. So that is how now the women they kept coming. I kept training the women. So there was a day an American woman just came to me and said, and asked me the history of Amani. And then I told her the history and how it started. Said, no, Semprosa, tomorrow morning, collect all these products here and come over to Kabalega Diner. So I collected all the products and went with them to Kabalega Diner, and she bought all. When she bought all, it's like a step up for us. So we went and got a bigger space, which is now the whatever, which is now
The
in
other shop.
Pete. And then I brought in more women. So I kept on training them. I trained them until our products perfected. Then Nairobi's then said, okay, Semprosa, you can bring your products and we see what you guys, how the quality of the products. Then I took the things to Nairobi, and then the Nairobi helped me with the quality control. The quality control it, and then they said, no, you have to perfect more for you to reach the international market. Yeah, so they kept training me and giving me more designs, the things that can sell in the international market. So now that is how they really perfected our products. And they kept now giving us like orders. Once quarterly, they give us some little orders like that. But we didn't stop there. Even the local markets, we were also sending our things like in Banana Boat, like in Ginger and Kabalega Diner. So that is how we are trying to work out with these women. And the women are now over more than 20. Yeah, they are 27. So now with these women, we just get products we make. But we don't only make the products. We also do the trauma rehab. We also do discipleship classes and the devotions every day, every week, so that the women can come out of their trauma. So we do that trauma. It really helped a lot, because if you hear the testimony of the women, when they came back from the bush with their children, went back home, their parents, others refused their children, because that time they were abducted. They tried to escape. So these people came and cleared. They killed all the people in that clan. So now you coming back with their kid, they just send you away. Say, we don't want that child. We don't want even like you. So they send those women away. They come to town. They start washing people's clothes. They start looking around for small work. Yeah. So that is how they really lived their life. And also the children, they do have, others hated their children because they were forced to marriage. They were abducted when they were 11. So from there, after their abduction, reaching there, they give them to older men. Some were like 12 and you are given to a 65-old man. Then from there, you are forced to have the child of which you didn't really plan for. So we were we were encouraging them that those children are not by mistake. It was already in God's plan. That's why you had that child. So you shouldn't take the anger on the child. You see, you have to forgive. Forgive the people who has hurted you. Because God knew you were going through this. So with the trauma, it really helped them a lot to really heal. Even like within themselves, to love each other. Like when they were in captivity, others were the wives of the commander. And you are the wife of this ordinary soldier. And then you mistreat this one. Now you come and meet again. Now this is where this one here will take like revenge on you. It will be angry on you that when you were there, you were mistreating me because you were the wife of the commander. Now we are together. Now we are here together. So those ones also bridged them in love. They started loving each other. We started working together. We encouraged them. We pray with them. We counsel them. And this really helped a lot. So that is how Amani Uganda came in.
John, a final question for you. We heard that you're retired.
Yes.
What does retirement look like for someone who's been through so much, who's helped build so much? What does retirement look like?
Of course, you are, say, for example, you are out of system to another system which you may want to build. Okay? But it depends. Right now, I'm helping them, doing planting coffee and others. And I wanted to start with a carpentry workshop where I could just concentrate on, though I support them. I've not gotten enough capital for it because when I retired, I had to concentrate in building this, the building. So,
You have a good house.
thank you. So it is, so far it's not yet so bad, but I think I needed another support somewhere from heaven. So I thought maybe when I start carpentry, it would make another start from there to support the farming I'm doing.
So you retired from one thing to start another thing.
Yes.
Yeah, he do support us like in maintenance also. At Amani, he supports us with the machines, maintaining the machines, and also with the paperwork, and also with sending things, the orders, whether to Banana Boat or to Nairobi. He helps us with that, and also with the new facility that we do have there. He also he also goes and clear the place because we are
planning to start it when funds is available.
Yeah, because we needed to build our workshop that side of
we have a piece of land.
University. Yeah, but right now we still don't have that funds, of which we are praying for, so that we can have our own and get out of the rent. Because since the corona hit us up to now, the sales is not doing well. Yeah, so we are trying so much and see that to first see that we settle financially, we stabilize financially, and then we see what to do in the land we have. Yeah.
Do you guys have favorite Bible stories or favorite Bible verses? Something that's given you a lot of hope in the midst of all kinds of times?
Yeah, it does. For me, in Philippians, we say you should not be anxious about anything, but in prayers and petition, the peace of God transcends all understanding. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, a big thank you to John, Semprosa, and Brent for sharing their story. In listening to them, I hope that you were inspired, encouraged, and challenged, and that you begin to behold the really cool people who are around you. The Really Cool People podcast is produced by Schweitzer Church, Springfield, Missouri. Taylor Likes is our executive producer and editor, and I'm your host, Jason Leininger. You can help us by liking, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. Until next time, stay cool.